And we're back with more coverage on the breaking news on the federal indictment of former President Donald Trump. While we await Trump's day in federal court on Tuesday, my next guest thinks his trial may not be done before the 2024 election day. For more, and joining me is Elie Mystal, justice correspondent for The Nation and the author of Allow Me to Retort, a black guy's guide to the institution. Elie, it is a pretty bad chandelier in that bathroom. I would concur with you, and it's probably not the right place for classified documents to be. But let's start with this speedy trial idea. Special counsel Jack Smith yesterday saying that the DOJ will seek a speedy trial. You and I both know as lawyers, speedy trial has a different meaning in the legal world when it comes to criminal cases. But in this instance, do you think Jack Smith meant it more in the colloquial sense?
Well, I think Jack meant it in the colloquial sense, but speedy trial is a thing in Florida, right? They have what's called the Florida rocket docket. They've kind of gotten in trouble for pushing through cases at kind of warp speed as fast as possible. I think the speedy trial statute in Florida literally says that you have 70 days from indictment to trial. That's the goal of the speedy trial law in Florida. The problem, of course, Katie, is that this is an unprecedented case, right? And I don't think they're going to shove Trump along at the rapidity with which they would shove along a foreclosure hearing in Florida, right? This is going to take a lot of time. That's even before you add in the fact that we have Trump Judge Aileen Cannon presiding over the initial stages of this trial. She's going to introduce delay at every opportunity to help Donald Trump. So while Jack Smith, I think, wants to go as expeditiously as possible, it's not up to him at this point, right? And the forces at play are going to delay this trial. You know, Katie, one of the things that we didn't kind of talk about when we were contemplating how long it was going to take Trump to be brought to trial after his indictment was the trick he's done, or the thing he's done, about changing his lawyers, right? Now, it might seem like he's just doing his usual Trump thing. He doesn't you're fired and find me the next man from the subway to represent me. But by switching lawyers, he creates delay in his own trial process, right? Because the new lawyer, Todd Blanche, can reasonably show up in court on Tuesday and be like, hey, I just got here. We need to, set a later date for motions for me to get up to speed on this case. That would be a reasonable request in a kind of vacuum, right? And again, we're going up in front of Trump Judge Aileen Cannon. So all of these factors lead to my prediction, my feeling, my worry that this trial, despite Jack Smith's best efforts, will not come off before the start of the Republican National Convention in 2024. And if you are thinking of trying to try Donald Trump when he is the nominee of a major party in an election that's going to happen in a couple of months, I just don't think that's going to happen, which leads to, if you're going to convict Trump on these charges laid out in the indictment, the 38 counts of espionage and obstruction of justice, if you're going to get a conviction on that, you're going to have to defeat him at the polls first.
Elie, let's talk about Evan Corcoran. I am obsessed with, inside this indictment, one of the most jaw-dropping things that I read was the level of detail and specificity that Evan Corcoran did with those notes, the ones he took for himself, which are very self-serving. And yet it's a chef's kiss in terms of poetic justice, because Trump threw Evan Corcoran under the bus by basically moving the boxes out of the way with the help of Walt Nauta before the FBI rolls in. And then, of course, Evan kind of puts Christina Bobb under the bus as well when he makes her sign that certification that she had no business signing. Let's talk really quickly about crime fraud exception. We've talked about it. People mention it and how it was used to pierce the attorney-client privilege in this case. Pages and pages of handwritten notes turned over to Jack Smith. I think that Evan Corcoran was better than a court reporter in terms of memorializing all the bad evidence that was against Donald Trump.
Yeah, MAGA, making attorneys get attorneys, right? Evan Corcoran, turns out he knew what was up, right? And he did what he had to do to protect himself from a person like Trump, who Corcoran obviously knows has a history of throwing people, and especially his attorneys, under the bus and lying to them. So Corcoran kind of did himself a solid by memorializing and recording the orders that he was given. I mean, you just had Michael Cohen on. I bet Michael Cohen wishes that in certain situations he had been more meticulous about surreptitiously recording and memorializing things that Trump said to him, right? So Corcoran has learned from other people's mistakes, and while surely it was to help his own self, I think it's actually helped the investigation and might eventually help bring Trump to justice. So yeah, that was a nice turn. You want to talk about what's in the Katie? I'm still kind of floored at the bit where he says, oh, when I was president, I could have declassified it, but now I can't. That was his whole defense. His entire legal defense was everything I declassified, so why are you even asking me about it? And so he's on tape saying, this ain't declassified, and I can't declassify it now. Okay, we got that's the, that. What more do you want him to say? That blows up his entire own self-defense.